welcome to another video. So I just got back from church. Church was great. It was awesome. They spoke about faith today. Yeah, see how I try to like tell you what we talked about in church today? Accountability. So today I want to talk about in a long distance relationship, is the guy really into you? So first, let's just talk about, you're in a long distance relationship, somebody hooked you up with this dude, or maybe you met this guy over the weekend and you guys just kept talking at the moment, and then now you guys are both back to your respective places. Now you're a long distance relationship and you're trying to figure out, we've been talking for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Is he really into me, right? So these are 3 tips that will help you figure out if this guy is really. Number 1, effort. All right. I don't think people understand how much just put in effort to make something happen, right? So first, is he putting in any effort to communicate with you? Are you the one always texting the hey? Or are you the one always texting the first cue to like say, hey, I'm here, remember me? We met this time. So that's number 1. Does he put the effort to just reach out to you first? Mostly as a woman, I'm speaking based on me, like how I feel when I feel like a guy's into me, right? So does he hit you up first? That's a big deal, all right? I know some people try to downplay it and say, I'll hit him up. Does he hit you up first? If he hit you up first for a couple of weeks and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna hit him up when I, maybe just miss him. So that's number 1. Number 2, consistency. Consistency in everything. When he texts you, when he calls you, when he's checking up on you. If you told him, oh, something happened at this time, does he ask again about that thing? Like, okay, if you don't talk to him for like a couple of maybe hours, maybe a day, all right, I don't know, but does he hey, how are you? Is everything okay? How's life going? What's going on? Anything new? Just that type of consistency. Mostly in a long distance relationship, communication is key. I'm gonna say that over and over and over again. This is where you're not face to face. You can't just get in your car and drive to his house because you feel like, I want to go check him out. I want to go talk to him. You can't do that. So communication is what you really have. Phone calls, text messages, FaceTime, all those things. Is he consistent with it? Then another thing, is he consistent with the questions you asked him a couple of weeks ago? Is he giving you the same answers now? That's a really big deal for me, because if I asked you your middle name and you told me it's I don't know, Thomas, random name, and then a couple of weeks later I asked you, oh, what was your middle name again? And you tell me David, my man's consistency much? You're not consistent. So you have to figure out, if he's telling you the truth based on different questions that you ask. So those are the 2 ways of consistency to me. Consistent in his behavior, in his actions, and consistent in what he tells you. Because, until you start living together, you have to just kind of believe what he tells you, right? And then actions as well. Action speaks louder than words. If he's not texting you and then maybe you text him and he's like, oh, I was thinking of you. Well, you didn't let me know you were thinking of me. That's a big deal. And then last is availability. You make time for what you care about. This applies to everything, but in this case we're talking about relationships, all right? Long distance relationship. When you're in a long distance relationship or just starting one and the guy's always telling you, oh, I'm busy, oh, I didn't have the time to do this, I didn't have the time to do that. Clearly, let's be honest. If he's too busy for you, he's not that into you. I'm gonna say it straight out, simple, not gonna beat around the bush. If he's too busy for you, he's not that into you. Take, for example, when I started talking to my husband, I'm sorry, I'm gonna always refer back to my husband because that's what has worked for me up till now. So, and that's one of the reasons why I started this video. So, when we started dating, we're 6 hours apart, by the way. And when it's so he's 6 hours ahead. So what he did, this is something he told me after like we've been talking for a while. He set an alarm. Right, okay, your guy might not do this, but this is what he did. He set an alarm for me specifically to call me every day at 10:30 p.m. my time. Mind you now, 10:30 p.m. my time is at that time was 4:30 a.m. his time. So he's sleeping. So he wakes up to call me. He was so consistent with this call that I was amazed. Like, I could literally put my phone on the table and tell my friend, look, he's gonna call me. And 10:30, my phone is ringing. If that's not consistency, I don't know what is. So it's a really big deal. If he's making time that he wants to talk to me, he wants to hear about my day, he wants to just communicate. Like, you need that consistency in that manner. If he's available, he could be just on his lunch break and it's like, oh, I'm thinking about my girl, let me hit her up, let me check out how she's doing. Hey, are you on lunch, can you talk? When you're in a long distance relationship, it's like you have to do maybe 10 times more than what you would be doing if you were physically around each other. So these 3 things are a big deal. Effort. If he's not putting in effort, sis, he's not into you. Number 2, consistency. He has to be consistent in his actions and in the things that he's telling you. He can't tell you one thing today and then slip up and be like, oh wait, hold on, let me just give you an example. There was one time I was dating this guy, right? Actually, yeah, I try not to think I had any exes. But there was one time I was dating this guy, and I think we were dating for going on 6 months. And then I think on the 9th month, I saw a baby pacifier in his car. Yeah. So then, okay, maybe he had his niece in his car, his nephew, I don't know. So then, I think a couple of weeks later, I was like, hey, like, there was a pacifier in your car. Like, whose is that? Is that your niece's or your nephew's? He goes, no, it's for my daughter. Excuse me, daughter? What do you mean, daughter? He goes, oh, I thought I told you. Wait, I'm sorry. There is no way I could forget you told me about a whole human being. Like, no, it's not possible. So yeah, it's a big deal. Consistency in what he's telling you. He cannot tell you A and then come back and be like, no, I meant B or C. Nah, bro. It doesn't work that way. And then availability. He has to make time for you. You're not physically in the same place, so he has to make the extra effort, make time to communicate with you, check on you, see how you're doing. Make sure you're feeling loved. Make sure nobody's trying to get your attention the way he's trying to get your attention. So that's a really big deal, mostly for a female, because we always like to use things to validate, our relationship. So if I can sit there and be like, all right, he calls me, he texts me, he checks up on me. Oh gosh, error. Check it is Sandra, get it together. But yeah, those are the 3 tips that I have for today. Okay, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you think, and I'll see you another time. Bye.